Welcome to Dance Reflections with me, Peter Mills, and Yari Stilo.
Hey, welcome everyone.
We decided to call it Dance Reflections, which I think is a good choice. I think it makes sense. Where are you today, Yari?
I am in again in Österberga, beside the Höden Studios in Stockholm. Um, I'm still here for a week, so it's exciting. And I think I feel calm and happy somehow.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I'm also good. I am at home again, as you can see. Actually, we should mention we're recording these with video as well, even though we're both in different places. And uh, yeah, why are we doing that, Yari? I think it to add like an extra element. The For me, it was really important with the other podcasts that they're just audio so that we do more imagination and there's like a freedom of creativity. Whereas this, we're not, well, at least in my opinion, I'm not really trying to propose anything. So this is an opportunity to actually share video, share image because I'm
Mm,
not in the intention isn't like with the others where uh, we're proposing things or the guests that I'm meeting are proposing things and then the listener can sort of uh, be very free with their associations around what
mm,
is happening.
mm.
Whereas this, yeah, we're not, at least not in a big way, proposing anything. We're always proposing something. There's always a sense of like commitment. But
Yeah,
yeah, that's where
it's
I am
true.
on video with Yari
Yeah,
in my living room again.
yeah. I also think there is a materiality, maybe because we those reflections are a bit more blurry. Maybe the image can bring actually more materialities. I just realized by watching the first episode, oh, I understand more by watching and hearing than only hearing.
Mm.
I mean, for also technical reason, but there is something there in that sense. How also, in this case, the image bring concreteness.
Yes.
And dance, maybe, that usually
Yeah.
uh, mm, fragment the discourse. Uh, but I'm also going to ask you, where are you in your dance?
Great question. I mean, I'm traveling a lot, so like the podcast is has been a way to sort of anchor my choreography. So really, this is one of the biggest places that I'm dancing, and I was thinking about it like it's so nice that we're doing this regularity. And as I listened to Sarah Ruddock's episode again this week, which where I got to dance with Sarah, th- I realized like all of these people that I'm meeting and dancing with, like I would love to continue dancing with. So so that's a little bit where I am. I'm like I'm tasting many different people all the time. I'm meeting different people and getting into their practice a little bit. And it of course informs my own. Like my dancing is sort of being shaped by that. But I, yeah, I'm really, I wish I could stay longer with all these people as well. So it's interesting. Yesterday I saw Cecilia Roos and I saw Martin Sonderkamp, as well as many others. But those two have episodes with me, and um, it was really, really like warming. And I was like, oh, I have this little pocket of a dance, and we have that, and we've shared it, and there's this public, and I'm still there, I'm still in those studios because I'm returning to those studios all the time. And in a bigger way, us doing these reflections is a way of like returning to that. So yeah. That's where I am. I have a future projects. We can talk about them when they come up, maybe.
Okay. Yeah.
But shall
Nice.
we shall we dance a little bit?
Yeah.
Last time we sort of danced throughout. So let's start, and then maybe some questions come up, and we just start talking. Yeah.
Okay.
So start dancing, and then when some questions come up, we can start talking. Yeah. No music.
Okay.
No music, just dancing, yeah? So Yari, I was really captured by this this the theme of listening that came up in Sarah's episode.
Mm, yeah.
And it was kind of my reading, I think, was sort of this, could we understand some of the aspects of dancing as a kind of listening? And what's interesting is like listening is this sort of situating and resituating and contracting and expanding the
Mm,
attention of one's perception, the attention of where where our attention sort of resides.
mm, yeah. Mm, yeah. So such a framing of listening as maybe as a being with your attention somewhere, or more expanded, or more like environmental. So that the idea of zoom in and out in a, I think it gives in relation to the body, it gives um, an opportunity to cluster an experience, but also of a body parts, or 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 to cluster a context within the body. Ugh, God, it's a bit hard to explain what I want to say, I think. Um,
And I also hear the struggle of thinking what's moving as well. There's this
right.
tempo shift in the language.
Yeah. Um, I'm thinking about the skin, for example, now, and how very often in dance we speak about listening,
Yes.
and we use the touch as an extension of listening, huh?
Yes. Yeah.
Um, and the skin, so as a as that part of the body that listen right now, huh? can be through the vibration. You spoke about that with Sarah.
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
Uh,
and she spoke a little bit about touch as well. That was very central, I think, in the
yeah.
thing. I mean, for me, which was really interesting. I mean, did you try this walking backwards?
Oh my God, yes.
It was really it's such a beautiful mechanism. Uh, but because it was so simple, right? Like it's such a simple step, let's say, or simple dance. And I think that's what's really interesting is that her focus or brought me to this place of dance um, can be about attending extremely simple um, activities and qualities and movements. Um, like even like I'm not very good at technical dancing, or that's not fair. Maybe I've done a lot, but I've been so long not working specifically with the sort of tricks and virtuoso movements. Um, but even with them, you know, things like unison and big jumps and things, like there is a simplicity at the heart of it, even though they can be really hard to get right. Or, in fact, I often felt they were seemingly impossible to perfect. There was always greater um, sort of uh, skill one can sort of perfect with it. But it's partly because within those activities of the jump or the unison or even walking backwards, you know, more simple tasks, the greatest the or one of the things we're really working with is how are we attentive within that? Like what are we aware of when we're doing that?
Mm.
Um, I wonder if now I'm like slipping into what sometimes we call like performativity, like the way in which a movement is performed or a
Mm.
dance is performed, and like how where your focus is, what kind of um, thing you bring to the foreground, background of your focus. Because sometimes, especially with those virtuoso movements, I feel like you actually don't want to be thinking about the steps. Like sometimes that gets in the way. Like
Mm.
the thing you have to do to learn the step, for instance, uh, you want no
Mm.
longer to do that when performing it well. Like
Mm.
there needs to be a moment where the dancing of it is habitual, and habit came up really quickly. So because of course we could have walked forward, that would have been even more simple. So walking backwards was a step towards virtuosity.
Mm. Mm.
Uh, and there's this sort of these conditions, obstacles, I was calling it in the episode, like that sort of resonate the
It made
habit.
me
Hmm.
it made me think, yeah, I mean the habits is very present. I mean, it make me think that about the virtuous dance technique, the virtuosistic dance technique, is
Mhm.
that there is a tendency to not listen the moment, maybe
Mm.
at least. I mean, at least in the beginning is like I do, and the body, the habits enter, and then it's I don't think, and I don't even feel the moment right now, as a way of forcing, your body to be traced, to be
Mm.
choreographed. And so to not spend so much energy and attention. So that's the
Hmm.
thing. Because if the listening is attention, while you actually doing certain technique, maybe you allow your body to remember and to have their own brain. I
Hmm.
don't know. I'm just thinking. Maybe it depends from person to person. I must say, and how much technique you really actually have. But if there is if some people in the traditional dance of this technique, very often the idea
Hmm.
is that you first learn the technique and then you can kind of work on your expression or
Mm.
put energy, attention on something else because things
Yes.
just go by themselves. So this listening, that it's in this case is attention. Uh, it's on the edge of being switched, I think,
Yeah.
very often. Mm.
I
But then
would
on the
say,
others,
oh,
I mean,
so,
I
so,
just to
yeah,
finish, then on the other
yeah,
side, when I remember the typical pirouette, the turning on
yeah,
yourself in a pivot, the most beautiful dancer that could do this for me was obvious that they were, and many turn,
yeah.
5, 6, 7, 8, whatever. It was obvious to me they were listening every turn.
Hmm.
They were constantly on that every turn. There was a balance with their hip. There
Yeah.
was like a recalibration. So yeah.
Yes. I was saying last week or some time ago when we were talking, I had gone to Scottish country dancing with um my dad, and it's mainly pensioners that are doing this dancing, and it works in a set, so you have like a partner, and you're you're dancing up and down, you're doing sort of figure of eights and things, right? Um, and I go and they go every week, and I don't know the dances, but they're very kind and they go through the dances, but they're relatively simple, there's certain sort of like a figure of eight. There are certain sets, I guess, or elements that build up to make the dance, and often some have little alterations. There was something called a Spanish turn or something, which was very difficult because it went against the sort of one of the more traditional swaps or moves with your partner. And um, it's it's really powerful, the sort of simplicity of it, but at the same time it feels very necessary that there's a dealing with that complexity, and in that dealing you're listening to the others, you're listening to the music, you're listening to the steps, you're listening to your own body in relationship to things. There is this heightened sense of listening because of, like, if we really simplified it, yeah, it could be just walking straight forward, but it's not. It's walking and then walking back and then walking to the side or walking around or walking between. And it's those little interruptions that we're trying to remember and configure and pay attention to and draw our focus to, that sort of broadens and creates this really joyful space, playful space. Um, I really felt it as a memory of, there's so much joy here to learn a dance and to dance with others to music. There was this one dance called the Teddy Bear's Picnic, which was really great because it's a nursery rhyme. Do you know this nursery rhyme?
No.
Um, it has a little song with it. I forget it. I'm not going to try and sing it. Uh, and and then it has this play of chasing, these sort of figures which represent chasing and different things. It's a really beautiful and creative interruption into like activity that um, could be considered quite simple. I'm sure it can be quite complex as well, but it's those interruptions that seem to be really interesting. And exactly as you say, like with the pirouette, just this how finding ways to be attentive um, uh, the whole time, right? The whole pirouette, each pirouette is really important. Have you been dancing more this week?
Um, Actually, no, I work also as a personal league assistant, personal
Hmm.
assistant. This is what I've been doing mostly this week, but this afternoon I have some rehearsal. I wanted to think I wanted to go back into the walking back
Hmm.
and how there is a question of you spoke you said about going to a direction, so projecting your back into a sort of future,
Mm.
and so into frontality that is back. And I realized that when I tried to do that, I was like the knee relation. It's so interesting,
The
right?
knee, like
Yeah, the back of the
the
knee,
yeah, yeah.
the back of the knee that usually when we go front, the back of the knee push front.
Hmm.
And this
Hmm.
time that, I mean, feeling going front from the back. It
Yes,
felt
yeah,
like,
yeah,
ow, oh, the knee, the back of the knee is pushing back or something like that, or at least it was very interesting to feel that a joint can even breathe
yeah.
differently somehow in that sense. I don't know why I say breathe then, but
But it is
it can.
it's the same a little bit. I feel it in, or if I understand the sensation you're trying to describe, I feel it a little bit in my ankle as well. Like the momentum and how it absorbs and moves with the shock shifts somehow, and there is a release, like because I guess we're using it in one way so much. There's a sort of like I understand that sense of breath as a sense of like oh
Yeah.
that the weight and the
The
friction as you
suspension,
move
yeah,
to
it's true. It's the
move to the
suspension somehow, or the
mm,
fall as walking. Do you
mm.
also speak about
Falling, yeah,
falling,
yeah,
right?
falling. I
Right.
was gonna say like like for me it was I was very aware of how walking backwards felt more like falling than going forwards. There's something about catching oneself that
Yeah.
really sort of appeared. Um, but isn't it amazing? Like I was listening to a podcast, The Rest is Science, I think it is, and they were talking about magnetism, and they were saying how sort of lucky and fortunate it is that things are magnetic and that things can be magnetized, and even that the Earth is a magnet, that it
Mm.
has a magnetic field. Like these are, it's not for granted. I think Mars, they were saying, doesn't have a magnetic field, okay? And
Uh-huh.
and you could say the same with the kind of gravity we have, that we have gravity, and I know we've developed within this gravity, but it's such a we take it really for granted. And I was thinking about that in the falling as well. Like we're we're meeting with conditions that seem sort of stable and singular. So, like for instance, there's this idea, or there's been evidence that says that the magnetic fields shift sometimes. So the
Mm.
south becomes the north, and the north becomes the south, or they
Mm.
move slightly off axis and things.
Mm.
Um, and of course, if we were to travel to another planet, the gravity would be vastly different, and our
Mm.
organs would function different, our legs would function different, and um, we might get problems, we might grow, we might shrink, all these sort of
Mm.
things.
Mm.
Um, so this is sort of like remarkable. We're so connected to the we're sort of encased, aren't we, within the environment that we find ourselves, and our movements and our dancing are no different. they are also a part of this physical ecosystem, the environment that sort of makes up this place that we can dance in. Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
the affordances of what can we do right now in this contest, in this physical space,
Mm.
and with those kind of rules of uh relating.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, yeah, yeah,
yeah.
exactly, exactly. I met someone at a party. That was it. And we were talking about dance, and I had one of those difficult conversations of like trying to describe what I do. They were sort of saying, "Oh, what kind of style is it?" You know, and I sort of trying to say, "Oh, well, I'm more in experimental dance, and I investigate how we dance and what dance can be and what it is, and ask questions around it." And he was someone who worked in a shop and would like lift boxes all the time. And I was saying like it's those kind of things that are so that are a part of us that can be investigated, and it's that creative play like
Mm.
between understanding. And he was saying how, yeah, I can look at a washing machine or something
Mm.
and know if I can lift it or not. Like know where the center of gravity is in the machine and
Oh my
things.
God, yes.
Yeah. Um,
Wow.
but it occurred to me the other day that as someone who practices in a sort of questioning experimental way, I think I still have a practice, but I'm not lifting one box every day. Does that make sense? And how do you feel? Because do you do ballet every day still, or one thing every day? Like, do
No,
you
I
have a
there
relationship to that kind of habitual forming practice
no,
of dance?
I don't have any kind of everyday practice training or that.
But you're in the same field of like your question. So you could say that that act of questioning, being with the body in a questioning way,
Mm.
becomes a practice in itself, or is it different? Does it not form? It must, right? Like the same things that form habits and structures in our mind and body for doing a pirouette must be the same things that structure other parts of our being and ways of
Yeah, but even in
yeah.
relation to the body, because I'm working as personal assistant, personal lead assistant for a person with disability, a wheelchair user.
Hmm.
Um, Even in that, how I do relate physically to him, Bengt Helm, by the way,
Hmm.
is also an artist, a painter. So working for and with him, it's a pleasure. I'm really pleased. But so also the shifting, the changing together, the giving weight, the pulling and pushing, and this is so present in our daily routines.
Hmm.
Um, and I did recently, I discovered that being on my knees by doing certain things is much better for him to use me in a pull and push instead
Mm.
that not only because when I'm up, then I might take more the lead and decide myself how he has to walk or step. But actually, also because the relation it's then vertical, so it means that his hands on my hands are pushing vertical instead of me kind of horizontal plane
Mm.
and
Mm.
him in that plane. So uh, for different reason, then obviously the body is always and in focus and the habits of doing things. I also realized, oh my God, yes, I'm getting better in going knees because very often of my contemporary technique or whatever, maybe
Yeah.
better to say floor work. It's okay, but the most difficult things is for me is to go from up to down and to down to up. And this, like, I feel every year I lose a bit, like a few seconds or few millisecond by doing this change. And now, since I'm actually going on the knees more often with him, then I'm like, yeah, I'm getting younger in my floor technique. So in a way, yes, there is a bridge and habits that it's also very interesting because we all know that we somehow tend to make our own reality and our own rules. What we are doing constantly, me and you here, is kind of drawing a reflection between different contexts.
Yeah.
And it's because probably human mind is also trying to assert to themselves all the time to say yes, oh yeah, this is what oh yeah, this is what I know. And that line between reinforcing our own
Mm,
system of thoughts
mm.
and so expanding uh, to wait, no, this is another context, and that's maybe also have had different ethics and
Hmm.
it's also very interesting to be both reminded by both, as dance um, can divide and make fragment
Mm.
and so also expand. But at the same time, one dance there is situated, every dance is situated where it is situated.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I bring this on. I think is in relation to disability rights, for example, or context with bodies that function very differently for the normative bodies that me and you have somehow, and how
Yeah.
is also induced, like maybe when you were thinking about Mars, to
Hmm.
going back,
Hmm.
it's like
Hmm.
how also those bodies have a huge skills in a different in a slight different context.
Yeah, I think we're
Um,
touching on it this whole time. When we're talking about listening, this is like it's a knowledge production. And I'm talking about simplicity and complexity. And hopefully I'm trying to, I've described that there seems to be very little difference between the two. Like the the knowledge and the production of knowledge is equal in all. So regardless of if it seems to be more complex or more simple, the activity, there's still this possibility for knowledge production, for greater ability to create new information, new understanding, and and so on, right? Like because I think that's what I found. I mean, and you hear it in the episode. I'm like, listening can be creative. And of course, I knew this. I knew that listening and hearing are two could be distinctly different, especially if we follow Paula Olivier's work, Oliveros, his work. And and there is this like it's a clear sort of relationship. If we go back to Alba Noe from last time, there's this thing of entanglement and art and life being synonyms, sort of thing, or entangled. Like so there's the hearing that always happens, but then there's the listening, and one can't really exist without the other. You can't hear without listening to your hearing, and that listening has a creative instrument and implication. Um, like you were saying, you don't remember through the writing and the scoring. This is from last time you were saying this, but you're not trying to remember the steps, the shapes. You're trying to remember the feeling. And there is this sort of um, integrated experiential um, sort of undertone to all this work where we are trying to value something more implicit in knowledge production rather than say a new shape, a new bodily shape, or a new thing. We're trying to value the complexity within all the shapes, and how that relationship between what is the shape, the life, and the attention, the listening, the creativity, the art, so to speak. I'm maybe way off, and we have like one
No,
minute.
no. It does. Yeah, it feels so. Thank you for going back to the mix of listening and doing sounds also, because you do a lot with Sarah. Also, the question of
Yeah,
echoes so the doing of the. I mean, it looks until now we're being disrupted, trying to disrupt a lot the active and passive or the dichotomy of leading, following, and also through back and through walking back.
thank you so much. Um, and I look forward to next week when we will do this again. Um, See you then.